What is going on, everyone? Welcome into another edition of the 415ers podcast. As always, on the Odyssey Sports Podcast Network with 95.7 The Game. That's Marc Grandi. I'm Evan Giddings. We're coming at you twice a week here as we approach NFL training camp and the veterans reporting for the San Francisco 49ers. If you want more content, download the Odyssey app. Check us out on the 95.7 The Game YouTube channel. Subscribe while you're there. We're going to be getting into some comments that Kyle Shanahan had for NFL Network. I want to get into some of this running back conversation, Mark, that's been taking much of the NFL media by storm and its listeners, of course, as well as also something that a teammate of Trey Lance had to say about him that I thought was particularly interesting. Before we dig into all of it, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited for this episode. I think we got a lot of good stuff. And then our next episode will release the day that veterans report to training camp. So we're really getting down to it now. We're getting close to obviously training camp, and then preseason is right around the corner. And then it's the regular season. Then it's time to grind. I am really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun this year. Can't wait. But overall, I'm doing well. Can't complain. It's been nice. Lots of sun in the city lately. I know yesterday, actually, Tuesday was kind of cold, but it's been nice. I've been enjoying it. Looking forward for summer to continue, but getting set for the fall with football. But I'm doing well, Evan. How are you?
I'm good. I've been doing better. And I think football might be a cure to my kind of a need, just a want for content right now, because you see everyone start to begin to file into training camp. 49ers have different dates than other teams, but as you see the rest of the league try and kind of flock to their respective locations, you're starting to see players talk. You're starting to hear all that kind of, I think, angst that carries a lot of the offseason for NFL fans. And now it's beginning to spill over. And one of the parts, Mark, that we also get is a coach, as of course, that's a Freudian slip, coach speak. We finally get to hear from the head coaches of all these teams.
Yeah.
And Kyle Shanahan gave us a little bit of a taste as we're recording this on Wednesday. He spoke, or at least it was revealed earlier today, via NFL Network. Chief National Reporter Steve Wyche sat down with Kyle Shanahan, and I'll let him take it away because I thought he had something interesting to say, and Kyle Shanahan's answer was even more interesting.
This is going to be a must-see training camp because it seems like every day you got three guys with something to prove behind center.
I mean, we got three guys who can play, and there's only one spot, and we have a good team. So I see it as a cool situation. And last year we had some unknown. We believed in Trey, but he hadn't gone out and done it yet. So, right. But we believed in him. We got to see him for a year and a half and what he could do. And he lost that opportunity, which happens in football. And we had another guy come in, very similar to Trey, but less reps and stuff. And Brock got that opportunity. So now we're in this situation, and it's just, I get how everyone wants something set in stone, but it's not set in stone. But I love the options, and I love the experience that Brock got. I love that Trey has gotten some too, and I love the ability that we have in the room. And besides those three, I love our team around them. So let's let it play out, and all I got to do is survive the press conference.
Nice little Shanahan one-liner. That is peak Kyle, by the way. But a lot to kind of dig into. We've got three guys you can play. There's only one spot. We got a good team. I see it as a cool situation. The first place my mind went to, Mark, was the Bill Parcells quote about how you have you have two quarterbacks. You actually have none. Well, in fact, it sounds like if you have three quarterbacks, I guess you might have one. I mean, that's maybe how Kyle Shanahan would finish the sentence. But instead, he goes with a pretty cool situation.
Yeah.
What did you make of it?
Well, that's what I thought of too. I don't know if you can read my notes, but there on the bottom, I have that quote written. If you have two quarterbacks, you have none. And then my question to you was going to be, well, what the hell does it mean if you have three of these guys? For Kyle Shanahan, as you said, he likes it. Cool situation, dude. Like just great. I don't know. What also stood out to me when listening to Kyle Shanahan talk is the way that he let it off by saying we have three guys who can play. But then he dove into it and rewound to last year. And he said, there was some unknown last year. We liked Trey. We believed in Trey, but we just simply didn't really know because he hadn't gone out and done it yet. Okay, so that was their mindset last year, right? Totally reasonable. Very, very obvious, I think. It's the only right answer. You can be confident, you can believe in him, but you don't really know what to expect because he hasn't really done it yet. And now he comes out and says, we have 3 guys who can play. My question for Kyle Shanahan is, how have you changed your mind from last year, being confident, believing in him, but not knowing who Trey Lance is, seeing him play a game and a quarter, and now you can describe him as saying he can play? Like, that doesn't really track to me. It should be the same exact situation for Trey Lance. You still don't really know. At least that would seem to make sense logically to me. So aside from the famous 2 quarterbacks, you have none. What does 3 mean? What stands out to me is Kyle Shanahan, I think, is misrepresenting his confidence in Trey Lance here, because he said it straight off the bat. Last year, they believed in him, but weren't really sure. How could you possibly be more confident in Trey Lance now than you were a year ago?
Yeah, that's true. There does seem to be some conflict with the sentiment we've heard about the 49ers and then Kyle Shanahan actually speaking about Trey Lance. What I kind of heard from the first part of it, and really the overarching theme of the quarterback room and Kyle Shanahan's coolness about it, I don't necessarily take it as arrogance, because look, you can't really do much else, right? It's not like you can go out and draft the next Tom Brady immediately, or if you did, it's going to take a while to find out. You can't go out and sign a free agent quarterback. They put their money into Javon Hargrave. I'm kind of with you. I don't think they ever really had a big chance to go out and get someone like Lamar Jackson. Aaron Rodgers was not going to happen. Kirk Cousins' name keeps thrown around. I don't even know if that moves the needle, whatever you make of it. Tom Brady, of course, is retired.
Yes. And
But
it'll stay that way.
probably. But when I hear the cool situation, I hear Kyle Shanahan talking about himself. He's talking about how this is a cool situation for me. This is a great challenge for me because I have 3 quarterbacks that can play. I don't know if any of them are actually going to be great this season or in the future. That is to be determined. But this season, I have 3 guys that I think I can maximize. And that, from Kyle Shanahan's viewpoint, is pretty cool, because if you're a guy that lives at the whiteboard, that lives with, the chalk or the Sharpie, and just is trying to draw up plays out of the wazoo, especially with the way that the league has kind of adjusted to a Shanahan type offense for many of the teams, well, now it's a great challenge to see what you have in your bag this year, to see how you can get the best out of a quarterback that not many people outside of your building are going to believe in, unless it's Brock Purdy. And even then, around the rest of the country, I'm sure there's a lot of skeptical, media members and fans and onlookers that are saying, what is going on in Santa Clara? Well, Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, is telling you through this quote that he's saying, I think this is going to be cool because I'm about to go to work.
Do you think it means he's going to use multiple quarterbacks even if there isn't an injury? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he might have to.
But what if there isn't an injury? I don't know. It almost seems like, I'm not sure if this is what you're implying, but the way I interpret it almost is Kyle Shanahan is eager to change a look up, to give teams different looks. Maybe it's difficult for them to prepare if you are possibly expecting to see Brock Purdy or Trey Lance and, maybe a wild card. Like, I don't know exactly. That kind of feels like something Kyle Shanahan might take some pride in, just throwing a curveball randomly here and there to an opposing defense, letting them worry about preparing for multiple quarterbacks. I don't necessarily think that's the best idea, but I kind of feel what you're saying. That could be something that kind of piques Kyle Shanahan's interest a little bit.
Well, it's not so much that he's trying to keep people on their toes or opposing defenses on their toes, because he can do that no matter what. But it's a confidence exuding from him that I feel like the message is, it does not matter who is going to be under center, because with those 3 guys I currently have, Brock Purdy, in my opinion, 1, although he didn't technically tip his hand, Trey Lance, and then Sam Darnold, 2 or 3, in this kind of perceived open competition that isn't really open, is giving first dibs to Brock by everyone who has heard or seen everything from 49ers camp. It doesn't matter who's going to be under center. Kyle Shanahan is going to get the best out of the quarterback, and he's going to win. That's kind of what I heard when he's talking about the cool situation, because honestly, I don't think Kyle Shanahan really sees anything as far as franchise material yet from any of these guys.
Well, that's interesting. That was going to be my next question for you, and you briefly brought it up. He didn't really tip his hand about QB1. Are you at all surprised that he didn't do that? I mean, the question, it really was less of a question from Steve Wyche of NFL Network and more a statement and Shanahan responding to that statement. If the question was, is Brock your starter week one, assuming he's healthy, that's different. But are you surprised that Shanahan somewhat laid this out as a level playing field, at least right now? Again, he wasn't given the easy opportunity to just say yes or no, like Brock's our guy, assuming he's healthy. But this seems to be almost the most, I don't know, complimentary anyone within the 49ers have been about Trey Lance's prospects potentially of playing that we've seen in a long time. Like everything else has been, well, Brock has earned the right to be this team's starter as long as he's healthy. But this was more like, hey, we got three guys. They're all good. They can all lead us to wins. I know there's been some of that, but really for the most part, it's been Brock's the guy, but we have talent behind him. But here, you didn't hear anything about Brock's the guy. Not saying I don't, it doesn't change my opinion at all about week one or who's QB1. But I was a little surprised to not hear Kyle Shanahan give his guy Brock Purdy a little vote of confidence.
The only reason I wasn't is because of that final quip at the very end of the clip in which he says, "No, I just got to get through the media." Well, part of getting through the media is giving them the least amount of information as possible. And that is what Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, does better than many around the NFL. And if you're going to give them the least amount of information, well, the place you start is, well, we got three guys. One of them currently is hurt, although that wasn't mentioned. That's more implied in my mind.
Yeah.
And so right now we got three quarterbacks, one spot. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I feel that the other line that he said, which I think we were kind of just discussing there a little bit, I love the options. That's the quote from Kyle Shanahan. Again, I'm not so sure that I'm a fan of, I don't know, throwing in a different guy for a drive, for a play. Like, you remember Trey Lance's rookie season. Who threw the first touchdown pass that year? It was not
Trey
Jimmy
Lance.
Garoppolo. It was Trey Lance in Detroit. I don't remember if it was the first drive of the season. It was definitely in the first quarter. The 49ers put up like 40 points in that game, if memory serves.
Yeah, he
But
was also using a lot of jumbo goal line packages as essentially your third runner.
Yeah, early in the season, it was the game against the Packers in Santa Clara. I think it was Sunday Night Football, and the offense was just stuck in the mud the entire first half. They end up getting like a third and goal to go from like the 2 or the 3 with like a couple seconds left in the half. You either go for it on the final play of the half, risk not getting any points, or take the field goal and go into halftime with 3 points. Kyle Shanahan decided to go for it, brought in the rookie Trey Lance, and Trey Lance ran in for a touchdown. So maybe Kyle Shanahan is thinking this is almost a rewind back to that sort of moment. Trey Lance's rookie season, Jimmy Garoppolo was entrenched as the starter. Perhaps he feels Brock Purdy entrenched as the starter, but he's got a little bit of a change of pace guy that he could use at quarterback for a play here, a play there, maybe an extended period of plays, a whole drive here or there. I don't know. But Kyle Shanahan saying, quote, "I like the options." I don't know. It kind of sticks with me a little bit, feeling like he might be working on, I'll bring the phrase back, the Trey Lance package. Like, I don't know. It almost feels like that's something that Kyle Shanahan has in his mind, to where if he's healthy, Brock Purdy is healthy, maybe he ends up using Trey Lance as a bit of a change of pace. I don't know.
No, I think that's a good poll and something to keep note of, because if there's one way to keep your, formerly injured quarterback, Brock Purdy in this case, out of harm's way, well, in those short yardage situations, bring in a bigger, physical, more tougher quarterback that can get the job done. Maybe it's Trey Lance. Maybe it's Sam Darnold. I don't know. I really have no clue. The one thing we can mark off in this situation is he said 3 quarterbacks. The Brandon Allen stuff is officially dead. That we can kill for sure.